Once the budget model has been finalized, the next step is to save it as another name and update it with actual results. The following is the recommended monthly rollover and reporting process. Step 1 is to create a zip backup copy of the model. Click the zip unzip button, click save to zip, click do it, and then navigate to your backup folder. The next step is to click the model selector, save as copy, and save the model as another name. Here I'm using the abbreviation for the company, an abbreviation for the month and the year. In the description, I'm using a full description. The full description can be changed at any time. The model code can be changed just by saving the model as another name. And now click Proceed to make the copy of the model. The next step is to click the rollover button located on the right hand side of the screen, and then click Do the rollover to roll the forecast forward one period. The first time this is done, Cash Focus will copy the budget data into a new database called Original Budget. That will create two databases. The whole model is then rolled forward one period. In that process, Cash Focus will add another period onto the end of the forecast to maintain the minimum number of periods selected, and it will make provision for a period of actuals. The first period of actuals will be period -1. The first period of the forecast will still be period 1, but rather than being April, it will now be May. So let's click Do the rollover. During the rollover process, Cash Focus also rolls the Excel spreadsheet if there are any links to it. Once the model has been rolled, the next step is to import the actual results. To import the actual results, we click File, Export Import on the top left of the screen. Choose the second option, Universal Import and Export from Spreadsheets. Choose Actuals, click File Type. I'm going to choose Excel 97, but there are a number of other options. Click File Name and then navigate to the import file. On the Import and Export Options page, note that there are options for telling Cash Focus that credits are negatives. This would normally be the case, and that you can map actual results for a range of accounts, and note that you can move actual balances or sum a range of accounts up to a high level during the importing process. Back to File Name, click Do the Import. Cash Focus will now read that file. It'll look for matching account codes. You can see that Cash Focus has imported 91 accounts and there are no mismatches. If we click Import Review, Cash Focus will tell us any new accounts that have not been imported. These need to be added into Cash Focus and then the import done again. Import Refreshed gives us a list of all the lines that it did import. The next step is to close the Actuals Import screen and then click on the right hand side where it says Actuals Entry. In the Actuals Entry area there are three tabs, one for the profit and loss, the balance sheet and a transfer button. On the profit and loss tab we can choose to view our specific profit centres. But our first task is to click the Totals button on the bottom right hand side of the screen and check that the net income after tax agrees to our ledger. Assuming it does, then we'll click Balance Sheet and click Totals to confirm that our balance sheet is in balance. Click OK. The last step is to click Transfer. Click Do It. Click OK. And then Cash Focus will then present us with the up-to-date opening balance sheet for our forecast going forward. What it's asking us to do here is to click on the Collection tab and to review the assumptions we have for opening receivables and payables. Are they still relevant for the new forecast data? Assuming they are, we'll click Close. Once the actuals are in and balanced, the final step is to click Reports Actual under Results and then print our actual results and forecast to the end of the year, as well as our current month, year-to-date and full year to budget comparatives. To run a report, we first click to the fourth tab, Actual Report Options, choose from the standard options the formats that we require, whether we want to include account numbers on reports, notes to the accounts, or non-financial type data. We then choose the period range. Cash Focus should automatically default to the number of actuals and the number of periods of forecast for the financial year. We should also show the model name. Date and time is useful if we're also printing rolling forecasts or what ifs in our forecast data. We'll click Available Reports, click Profit and Loss. This is our first option, our 3B report. What this report shows is actual results so far and then a forecast to the end of the financial period. On the right we have our estimated end of year forecast sales of 10.578 million. Here are our expenses with actuals so far and forecast to the end of the year, and our retained income. Closing this report automatically triggers our second selection, the 4A report. This report compares actual for the month compared to original budget for the same period. In the middle it compares year-to-date actuals and budget. Because we've only rolled it once, the numbers are the same as the first period, April. And then on the right we have our expected end of year result, our 10.578 million from the 3B report, but compared to the original budget that the directors approved and that we showed to the banks some time ago. This report shows where we've been and where we're now headed compared to what we said we were going to do, which could be some time ago. Now once we have run our reports from our model, there are two more steps. The first is to create a zip backup copy of the model. And then save the model as another name. We do this for a number of reasons, including audit trail, and so that we can always go back and rerun the reports exactly as they were presented to the boards or directors or bank or whoever, even though the ledger data may have now changed. It also gives us a restore point should we inadvertently delete an account line and delete the actuals, the forecast and the budget comparatives. Now that we have our new copy, we can go into accounts and budgets and change any of the forecast data for the periods going forward. Notice that April has disappeared and that if we click actuals on the bottom right of the screen, we can see what the actual amount was for April, the forecast and the original budget for the same periods. We can now change our forecast data to whatever we now think that it should be. Once we have revised the forecast, we'll then click the rollover button as soon as the ledger is ready and import the actuals. And now we repeat the rollover process and roll the model forward another period. And now we're ready to import the next month's results. To do this, click File, Export Import from Spreadsheets, choose Actuals, File Type, File Name, navigate to the import file. This time we're going to import the second period of results. Click Import, review our import options, and then click Do the Import. Cash Focus then confirms the number of lines imported and whether there are any rejections for new accounts. We'll import Review, so there are no rejections, and we can see the lines that it refreshed. Final steps are to click Actuals Entry to confirm that our profit and loss and balance sheets reconcile for the new period, review the opening balance sheet, and then run our 3B and 4A reports.